Shut up, Leroy. I'll tell you what. Oh, I forgot the Hodge twins. Yeah. Matt Spear, don't unfriend me. Leroy. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. You guys get the point. Hodge twins. Yeah. Good to see. Hey, get the cat out. Thanks, buddy. Sorry, my son just rolled it. Hey, everybody. What's going on with the Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Yes, my voice is trashed. Come on, Yenny. Get out of here. Yennefer, we're going to skin you and make a blanket out of you. Let's do this. Get out. Out. Mom. I'm going to shoot the cat. There she goes. All right, she's out. She wants mom. That's all. Mom shows up. Cat is like the coolest cat in the world. This cat will sit at the edge of the bed and wait for permission to come in until I get in and mom gets in, and will not move a muscle until I say, okay, now. And she's trainable cat. Unreal. She plays fetch. I mean, she's like a dog. Aww. Great cat. She's so fun.
Awesome.
All right.
I love her. I do love her.
She's a good kitty.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Because of your voice, do you mind if I just go ahead and run through and say hi to the dummies? Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. Do it. Please take care of it.
Lee Houston says, yo, dummies. Kristen MC says, hello, dummies. Roxanne says, hey, y'all. Jason Smith says, happy Monday. James Clemens says, what's up, dummies? We got Carrie Taylor Bailey says, hey, my friends. We've got Ramon with balloons up. Yes, Ramon, the balloons are up. Thomas Austin says, okay, I'm here. He says, actually, okay, here I am. But we've got...
He says he hopes that everyone's in good shape. You got to read it all. Can't do partial quotes. What are you, the left? CNN?
I'm editing for time. Angela Beal says, one of my cats taught himself to use
and we say bye-bye.
One of your cats taught what?
To use their toilet.
The cat to use the toilet.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
I'll try to teach my son how to do that.
Fantastic.
So,
all right.
Congratulations.
Caught up. Yeah. Thomas Austin says 49 degrees and clear here in Onslow County.
We miss Sandra Casey. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Sandra.
I'm seeing all the comments for some reason.
Carrie says hello. Chris Morris says hello.
And I see Sherry and Dawn.
And little romper room. Oh. Let's see who's in the magic mirror today, children. I see Leroy and Amy. And I see Mr. Snuffleupagus with a giant... Actually, no, that's Mommy's boyfriend. Oh, gosh. Mike Blankman says hello. Brenda Martin, Ramon. Everybody's here. Yeah. Everyone's coming on. We got... How many got on? 70. That's not bad.
Tuner Monkey says, hey, y'all. Sounds like I missed the toilet training discussion. Yeah, it was for a cat. Cats. Yeah. Somebody was teaching cats How do you use
Al
a toilet?
Johnson, aka Chav, is on.
Oh,
Darren
Colleen
Gibbs.
Stewart. Hope you're doing okay, Colleen. Says
did
hello,
you
my
guys see my
dummies.
skunk photo today?
I did.
I did. You saw his guy. I smelled it. He's actually right around my house. He comes around with a family, and they dig up the earthworms in our garden.
Yeah.
Because I don't
so
know,
this house,
Virginia, you get these giant earthworms like this.
they're
ahead.
huge and they stink after it rains. But
They
no,
do.
this house that I was at is actually not too far from your home. So so my clients just purchased the home. They haven't moved in
I
yet.
saw it. It's
And
beautiful.
it's a beautiful house. And the neighbors, we were talking to them, said they have like a skunk that like hangs around. And I'm like, that's awesome. And
Huh.
today I was going to go help them out with something. And he was just hanging out near the driveway. So I was like, hey, Skunky. And I'm trying to get up to him. He was the cute. And he just looked at me for a while. And then he just stood there. And then finally I got too close and he retreated a little bit. And then I got a little bit closer. And then he finally was like, F you, lady, and took off. But it was the cutest thing. It was the cutest
Well,
thing.
it's good that house sold so fast, and because I'm going to give it 4 weeks, and if I don't have something remote in 4 weeks, and I've just started looking, I haven't even started looking yet because I've been so sick. By the way, folks, I'm bronchitis / pneumonia, real bad. Like yesterday was rough, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better. But yeah, it was tough. But anyway, 4 weeks is what I'm going to give it. If I don't have something that I completely like in head over heels in love with, we're selling and we're moving, and we're going to find something in the sticks, out of the way, away from the hustle and bustle, and find a nice $150,000-$250,000 home and pay it off with cash, and just let Olivia do what she wants to do and let me do what I want to do. And I can do marketing from home and do the show and put 100% of my effort into Don't Unfriend Me. And I think that's, a possibility. Now, if West Virginia can make that happen and we can find something, then we can all stay close together, which is ultimately what I'd want to do. So.
Hell, I was, I think I've told you this before. My ultimate, retirement plan is to look somewhere in the mountains in Tennessee and just kind of live on the side of the mountain doing exactly that.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm 50. I mean, I'm 48 years old,
Yeah.
49 this year. It's time. And I've still got 25 years of work left in me, but I don't anticipate, I don't want to go back to corporate. So I got to figure this out. And we're on the precipice, right? We're on the precipice. And if I can just put all the time that I can in the show, which is do afternoon shows, do an evening show and really start catching up when something happens, get online, it'll start making the consistency work. But I just need to have something else besides living in the most expensive place in the United States and this is great when you're working for a corporation, but when you're not, it's, you got to make ends meet. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's expensive to live here. It's funny. I was talking with one of my clients and he was visiting family and he was talking to his family about the homes he was looking at, which by the standard here, they're few and far between. He's looking at under $1 million. So it's not super easy to find a home in that price point. And his family was like, oh yeah, you can get a really nice home here for like 60,000 and you can get like a mansion for like 200. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, that seems insane to me.
Where was it?
Because here, it's actually in like the most southern part of Virginia.
Yeah. And we don't care. I mean, as long as we've got satellite, or not satellite, but as long as we have broadband and I can have my Fubo and watch my hockey games and stuff, who cares? We're homebodies anyway. We love where we live. We don't, and when you want to go to the city, when you drive to the city, I can drive a few hours. So what?
Yeah.
But I'm ready for this. I just don't want to be.
I don't want you to move though.
I don't want to move. I don't want to, but I can't justify sitting on a house that's 630 that I could sell for close to $1 million. How can I do that? It would be with what's coming. How stupid of a divestment is that? Is to get into a property that is going to devalue. It might not go under my mortgage and loan, but why take that risk? Why lose that equity? Why not reinvest it now? Lose a house payment, and it's not just I have a house payment. It's that I lose my current house payment and I don't have a house payment, which just changes your life. And I literally get to take $75,000 out of my income potential, and I don't need to make that anymore. Why not do that? You know, why
Yeah.
not do that at my age? And I can listen. I know that I can make this thing grow because then I can change things, right? I can have multiple sets. I can go ahead and fund you guys to have your own cameras and get people in to start doing their own shows and become a network. I can't do that right now because I just don't have the time because I'm, having to fill the gap. So anyway, this is a huge conversation, but we'll talk about it. We had a family discussion tonight and we don't know. I might get a, $250,000 offer and somebody says, we need you to come in and fix our retail establishment. Okay, well then I'll do that for a few years and still be able to do the show. But anyway, I love you both. Appreciate you. Thank you for the concern and all that. I want to try the show tonight was different than something I've ever done. I covered like 5-6 different topics and some of them were kind of symbiotic. But I would love to get into it and kind of talk about the show tonight. And I want to watch the show. A lot of people aren't going to be able to see it. And I think it'd be a good idea to watch it together. But I also would like us to comment and pause and do that if we're all willing to do that, because I think it's a good topic. I think it's a show that we should see. And being that we're live right now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do that if we're on live when the show releases. And that's unfortunately what's going to happen because it's going to drop in the next few minutes. Leroy, I'm going to fix your screen. Don't you worry about it. It's not you. It's the way I've got the camera displayed. But watch this. This new software is freaking. Watch this. I can fix your camera. How cool is that, dude?
That's awesome.
I mean, and Amy, you just need a little haircut, little trim. Boom.
Look at
And
that.
bring her up. And then let's just go ahead and take Amy and let's bring her down.
That's
and
perfect.
she's centered. And then I'll take a little haircut here too. We'll bring that down just a little bit, and then we'll put that up. And then we'll I missed the button. That's the story of my life. There we go. Now we're all centered.
Red button.
It's a big red button. All right. So tonight's show. Now, I want everybody's opinion because, like, I watched the Super Bowl for the first time because my daughter is a Kansas City Chief fan. She pretend she dated a boy in Texas who was a KC fan or something. So she follows KC, and luckily it's not the Red Wings or the Minnesota Wild. So, she was rooting for him and she watched him all season. So I was like, you know what? even though I despise him because I am a Broncos fan, God forbid. And I was like, I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to watch it because I've taken some issue with the NFL over the last few years, like most people have. So tonight, the topics are ranging. And once again, I want conversation from everybody. We're going to talk about Biden's reaction and why everyone's like, oh, balloons, Republicans, they're supposed to be big and bad with all their guns, but they're scared of a little baby balloon. And I'm like, okay.
That's not what it's about at all.
Yeah,
Right.
you pricks. So we're going to talk about that. Then talk a little bit about the Colin Kaepernick / Tim Tebow / Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes tie-in with taking a knee and the differences between. And then we're going to talk about Rhianna and the Black National Anthem and why people need to get off her ass. And then we're going to talk about something kind of out in Oakland in California, a lady named Jen Angel, who unfortunately lost her life, who was a small business owner. She owned a cupcake shop. And she was dragged by a vehicle 50 feet. It's a horrible story, but there's something inside of that is that she was a social activist and she was more of a live and let live when it came to prosecution of people, like a progressive prosecutors all over the country are doing now. And although she seemed to feel that way in her real life, her actions before, unfortunately, her demise said the opposite of what she preached. And I think people need to understand the difference between wanton and unfettered crime and criminal justice reform. They are not like abortion, that they need to be diametrically opposed and a zero-sum game, a binary choice. You can have criminal justice reform and still hold people accountable. And I think I want to prove that case. So tonight should be an interesting show. If you guys have a pause, just say it and I'll pause it. If you have a comment, I'd love to hear it. And otherwise it'll save my voice a little bit and we can get going. Everybody ready?
Let's
Let's
go.
do it.
All right. We're not going to be on late. I promise. Everyone, Amy has to go and I need to get some rest. So with no further ado, here is episode 430, interactive episode where we will all take part. Here it is. Anthem, Jen Angel, a baker in... Oh, we'll watch Hodge right here. From the Hodge twins.
Hey, Hodge twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website. Yeah. Don'tUnfriendMe.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
It always makes me smile.
Good dudes, man. They are good dudes.
Yeah, they.
This will be a little new and different. I want to thank the Hodge twins for
Getting to that
stopping by.
point.
You can
That's
follow
what she
me
said.
at The Dumb Show, and that's DUM, not DUMB.com, and at The Dumb Show across all social media channels. We're sitting at 42,700 followers on Facebook. Really cool to see. We're also doing really well on Twitter. Stop on by and say hello and follow us. You can see our catalog at The Dumb Show along with our podcast if you're more of an auditory type person. Let's get into it tonight. We have really no time to lose. The first thing I wanted to talk about was a baker named Jen Angel. Now, first of all, I never want to go ahead and make jokes or try to get clicks off of somebody's death. It's tragic. It's horrible. And in today's society, we hear way too much of it. Now, and I'm not trying to preface this to cover my ass and then say something insensitive, but I also want to keep things in perspective. And progressive policies, more importantly, progressive district attorneys have always had power when it comes to the district attorneys to make decisions on which crimes they want to go after and which ones they don't. Some of them are because they're archaic laws. Others are because it's a non-winnable case. And ultimately, district attorneys should have that. Now, this is the trope that Democrats are saying. We need progressive policies in this new criminal justice in order to have reform, when really that's not what we need to do. We need to put the criminals away, and we need to do it without prejudice. But that's the problem. More and more criminals are hitting the street because of the prisons filling up, and it's a draw in the cities, and then ultimately crime goes up. Now, you might hear progressives really cleaned up in 2022 in the midterms, and they're saying, well, these crime increases have nothing to do with progressive attorneys based on previous year's numbers. Yes, that's absolutely true. But during COVID, we also understand that for the better part of the first part of the year, that we had places shut down, that there weren't people going out as much. And obviously crime stuck more to the cities. We're now seeing an increase and an uptick in crime over the last 6 months to previous years. And it's not going to slow down because we're allowing more people out of prison. We need a fine line between letting criminals go free and having criminal justice reform. This case just says a lot. The family says that Jen Angel was a lifelong activist and believed that you kind of let bygones be bygones as far as crime. I want you to listen to this and listen to what they had to say, and I'll be right back.
It feels like there's absolutely an opportunity for us to stand in her values and support the world that she wants.
Hours after her tragic death was announced, friends and family of Jen Angel released a plea that if the people responsible for her death were caught, they are not to be locked up, but to be offered restorative justice.
Now, certainly, it's
Now,
a
once
request
again,
we don't hear often
no matter
from the
if
loved
these
ones of-
people responsible are caught or not, they're ultimately saying that they don't want them tried or convicted. Now, first of all, that's not up to the family in any way, shape, or form. But the problem with this is why? What's the point?
Right.
If someone commits a crime, we believe in the letter of the law, don't we? Well, it sounds like, according to the family members, that Jen Angel believes in a live and let live policy. But wait 1 second. Let's listen to how she died and what she did and how this all played out.
crime victims. ABC 7 News reporter Ansar Hassan spoke to Jen Angel's friends and has more.
The long lines outside of Angel Cakes Bakery in Oakland owe to the popularity of the products and the creator, Jen Angel.
She has this lemon cupcake that has like a lemon curd in it with a raspberry on top. It's like by far my favorite.
Emily Harris spent the week
That
in the
doesn't sound
ICU
good.
with her
Sorry.
friend Jen Angel. Angel died on Thursday from injuries she suffered following a car break-in near Wells Fargo Bank in downtown Oakland on Monday. She was dragged 50 feet by a getaway car after she tried to chase down the thieves.
We're really trying to orient towards her brilliant life and actually that she's not a person that would support the policing and imprisonment of the people who harmed her.
Now, I want to be sympathetic and empathetic. Go ahead, Amy. Sorry, I had to get a throat lozenge in the middle of this
Hold on,
because
let me pause it.
I'm not going to
I
finish
just-
the show because Go ahead.
I guess I have questions about her family commenting on the outcome of these people if they're ever caught, because it sounds, just from that little bit, it sounds like she was trying to get her vehicle back, or at least get
Right. That was
information. So how
yeah.
do they know she's okay with them just walking free?
Right.
Perfect. That's exactly what I'm about to say in about 10 seconds.
Let me
Leroy,
let me,
go ahead.
Let me add something to that. I have an immediate problem with this in that what she's basically saying, or it sounded like she was saying, was that, you know, with this live and let live type philosophy, that if the killers are caught, that we're supposed to be kind with them, to be less than anything but absolutely strict with the letter of the law. And let's face it, I mean, murder is an evil act. And I have a problem with pacifism in that if you don't stand up and fight against evil, then it wins. It wins every time. Nothing guarantees the triumph of evil like the unwillingness to fight it. That's a problem I have.
Yeah, good men doing nothing. And it's interesting because essentially what you're saying is that your horrible luck, you don't want it to stop with you and your death. You want to pass it on to somebody else, because that's the thing about crime, is that it's very seldom is it a one and done. It's usually replicated in either a more aggressive form or with more frivolous attitude than it was initially. So you're basically like, I'm so selfish. Not only do I not care about my own life and what it does to those around me, I don't care about yours either.
Right. What if the next person is her daughter? What if the next person in line is her husband, is a relative, her mom? Would you be so passive then?
Right. Leroy, your lighting, whatever you've done, it needs to stay like this and not change.
Okay.
It's perfect. It's like you're lit. Shadows are good. You can see your computer. You can see your desk. You can see your artwork. It's not washed out. It looks great, dude. You've got that little blue reflection coming off the veteran sign. Everything's perfect. It looks fantastic.
I put a light behind it.
Oh, great. Then stop screwing around with it and just leave it alone now. All right, here we go. 5 minutes in and I'm already dying on my throat. But here's what it comes down to. How does that make any sense? The first portion that we hear is, well, wait a second. She doesn't want to go ahead and charge or create more issues for the criminals because of the system that they've obviously been exposed to and subjected to, which she believes is a systemic racist system, which you can make that argument that the prison system is unfair, that the penalization is unfair for African Americans versus whites. I would challenge you on that, but that's okay. You can say that. But the real problem here is, if she was so forgiving and she had this mentality of Robin Hood type thought process, then why did she chase after them when she was robbed?
Yeah.
It's a good question. If they want to honor her memory was to get my frickin' money back and to chase after this vehicle and to get what was rightfully hers that they stole. Jen Angel doesn't sound like a person who believed that crime should run rampant, that there should be lawlessness. I believe that she feels that criminal justice reform is important, at least from what I understand, but crime still needed to be addressed. To me, it's this type of thinking that is eroding the United States. It's essentially allowing criminals to run free and innocent people to suffer the consequences. This is happening in California, just as it is all over Democratic cities that are running progressive DAs. Something to think about, at least. And I'm certainly sorry for her family and what she went through. It's a tragedy. Saw this on Fox today, and you're looking at now, that is correct, 1, 2, 3, 4 objects. The first one was over the Pacific, and we heard we couldn't shoot it down for some odd reason. We waited for it to get into the Canadian Rockies and then come over the northern part of the United States before waiting for it to traverse all across the United States and then shooting it down over the Atlantic waters in South Carolina. But we've seen one in Huron be shot in Michigan. We've seen the Yukon and also in northern Alaska. With all the question being, why are we responding so slowly? It's not only myself who's thinking this and Fox News and others, but You're hearing this from
I have
congressmen.
real concerns about why the administration is not being more forthcoming with everything that it knows.
The Biden administration needs to stop briefing Congress through our television sets and actually come and sit down and brief us.
The military needs to have a plan to not only determine what's out there, but determine the dangers that go with it.
I believe the American people are owed an explanation. If they're serious enough for us to send fighter jets out to shoot down, then I think it's okay for the American people to know who's behind this.
Listen, I'm not afraid of a bunch of balloons. I've already done a show on this. Here's the issue. Not that this is a prelude to war. We saw this in Pearl Harbor. We saw smaller subs off the coast of Pearl Harbor and off the inlet. We saw balloons coming into the Midwest from Japan. All sorts of things like this. Radio traffic. You get sudden signals. France should have listened instead of moving their entire military up to the northern part so Germany could blitzkrieg from the south. Was a large mistake. 9/11, we had warning. Do I think China or whatever country is doing this outside of China is going to invade? No. Do I think they're sending a message? Yes. And the problem that I have more than anything is that if these balloons are benign or these objects are benign, then tell us that. If this was all something that we weren't aware of or we were missing and now we have it down lockdown, tell us that. If we drop the ball and we miss this, and this could have been something a lot bigger than it was, but we caught it in time, tell us that. And if we had no freaking clue, or we knew all along, tell us that too. But here's my concern as a former intelligence professional. I don't care about a balloon. I don't care about satellites. I don't care about high altitude craft. All of those things are done every single day. What I do have a problem with is a stray MiG or a Foxtrot getting in as easily as some balloon that moves at miles per hour versus something that can move at the speed of sound. That should be our biggest concern. If we're sleeping and not aware and we can't catch something so obvious as a balloon, how do we catch something like a state-of-the-art vehicle that is designed to avoid our radar? That is the problem I have. That is the issue that I take umbrage with. Joe Biden, in my eyes, is failing to address the public. He should be out there with Pentagon officials and the Joint Chiefs. It should be shoulder to shoulder and briefing the American people to ease our concerns, because not everyone knows what I know. Not everyone knows what you know. And there are some people out there who think a balloon is a sign of end of times because that's the way they take their life. And every single thing that isn't something happy and rosy makes them feel trepidation and anxiety. And that is because people process things in different ways. What I've seen isn't what you've seen. Joe Biden should know this, and that's his responsibility to protect our borders, something he's unwilling to do. It's interesting, the comment there is that in that interview, they made a statement that said, I don't think America has to worry about aliens when they were talking about unidentified flying objects. I take it he wasn't talking about illegal aliens. The next one also is interesting. Rihanna performed in the Super Bowl, and the anthem and Colin Kaepernick and Patrick Mahomes. What does all this have to do with anything? And then also the black. Go ahead, Leroy.
Okay. I have a little bit of knowledge, and I'm going to tell you guys straight up, it is not through official channels. Now, that being said, part of it may have been. That being said, there are certainly some things to consider with the balloons. So far, we're up to 4 of these that have crossed into U.S. airspace and that have been promptly addressed. And apparently, they've all been of different sizes and shapes and at altitudes, and presumably of different functions. So some of them may have been for signals intelligence, and another one could have been, we don't know, because I mean these are dust now at this point. They're still waiting to be recovered, but I mean we can assume that there was a SIGINT bird, and there was probably a one that dealt with imagery. We can assume different functionality now. And I'm going to address Matt's point because it's spot on. With all of that's going on, we also need to consider if these did in fact come from China, then with these things being popped out of the sky, who's the real winner here and who's the real loser? because in terms of policy, and I'm talking at an international level, I'm talking between Biden and President Xi Jinping. That puts China in a very big bind for not having gotten a lot in return. And what I mean by that is, you have now you've cut your own hamstrings in terms of trying to negotiate some sort of good faith agreement with the United States, because now we're agitated at AF, and really the likelihood that they got anything useful out of that when there's already 100+ satellites whirling over our heads daily is almost none. So the benefit to the risk analysis here was terrible. This is a terrible idea and a terrible outcome for China. I found out also that the reason we're starting to see more and more of these things is because they recalibrated the radars at NORAD, so that they were initially looking for very fast moving objects, and now they're looking for much smaller and slower moving objects, and so that's why we're all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, now there's 3 more. So that's another big piece of it. And then finally, just to foot stomp what Matt said in his analysis, excuse me, which was the biggest problem here is not that there are balloons floating over our heads. Knowing what I know, they don't really mean anything.
No.
There's already intelligence going on. Again, there's hundreds of satellites that are above us every day. The problem is how the administration is handling it, specifically with regard to how they're communicating with the public, what they're telling us. Because what have they told us? Nothing. He hasn't even addressed it, and that's the problem. If you ever wanted to look like an inept, I don't want to call names, but we'll just say like you have no clue or even care about what's going on, you would just ignore addressing it to the American public, and he's done that.
Yep.
I have a question for you guys regarding this. Do you think China's playing the long game with these balloons? Do you think?
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like they're going to wait to see how our next election goes and then make a decision based on that. Like
psychological warfare.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're going to keep doing these things until they figure out who the next administration is going to be, and then
Yes.
do something.
This is exact. If North Korea had the ability to float these balloons, they would have done the exact same thing. This is listen, when you get a threat from somebody and they call you first, it's not a threat. Because anybody who wants to commit a threat isn't going to call you first. China doesn't have anything else. So China is going to use the most cost-effective way to irritate us, but not make it look like a weaponized vehicle. Right. That's important. They have drone capabilities. They've got the long-range bombers that can do this. They've got the fighter aircraft that can do this. They've got the carrier base that can put these Su-27s off our coast. If they really wanted to piss us off, they could do what Russia does and take up a stray MiG or a Foxtrot and have it fly over Alaska, Puget Sound, or Kodiak Island and get really close to our international waters and our airspace, which they've been doing for 65 years. Leroy can attest it happens every gosh darn day. China doesn't necessarily want to provoke us from a military standpoint. They want to make us look foolish. They also want to go ahead and have us overreact. And now that's exactly what we're doing. Because we've recalibrated the systems, it would have been so easy for Joe Biden to come out and say, okay, here's the deal. Nations spy on each other. 10 to 15% of our budget is exactly that we invest into National Reconnaissance Office, CIA, et cetera, to watch other countries and to find out what they're doing from a counterintelligence standpoint, right? We do this all the time. They do this all the time. This is the cat and mouse game. We are not going to shoot down every single balloon that flies over the United States to make people feel comfortable, just like we didn't shoot the first one we saw in order to make people feel uncomfortable. This is what happened. We've recalibrated our systems. We've made adjustments. We're going to continue to collect on these foreign countries. They're going to continue to collect on us. Trust me when I say we're the most secure country in the world. And if we find a recognizable threat, we will take care of it and respond accordingly. But from now on, we're not going to shoot everything out of the sky that moves. until we have confirmation that it's a threat. Thank you very much. Have a nice fucking day. Media, you can continue to report on this if you want to. We'll let you know if there's something real. But instead of doing that, they are doing what they always do, which is, I call this the spaghetti administration. They continue to throw it at the wall just to see what sticks.
Sure.
And when they get good poll numbers, they run with that. And as long as it's 51% of the country that believes what they're saying, they don't give a flying shit how it impacts people's psyches. And honestly, it's unnerving. It's unnerving to my kids who've never been through this. We sat under the desks to stop a nuclear war, right? And it was kindling. Well, this is their Bay of Pigs. This is their, Cuban Missile Crisis. This is their Cold War era type stuff. And they're honestly, surprisingly enough, because this generation is a little pussified, they're nervous because they're hearing this stuff and they're like, why are these countries doing this? This is kind of scary. Is there a balloon over our heads? And I think it was bullshit the way we handled it in the 60s. I think it was bullshit the way we handled it in the 70s. I think it was bullshit the way we handled it in the 80s and 85 and 88. And it's bullshit the way we're handling it now. There's my long-winded reply.
Do you remember Matt will know what I'm talking about. There was a movie called The Last Castle, and it starred Robert Redford, and it took place in a prison.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind it was this general was testing the defenses of the guards and of the prison system. And every time they would do something, they would look to see how they reacted so that they knew how to place their chess pieces on the board for the next series of moves. This is similar to that. And something that Amy said that I wanted to address real quick, God bless you, Matt,
Thanks.
was that, policy here in the United States, it changes. It changes once every 4 years, roughly, right? Every time we get a new president, it's either 4 or 8 years. We will change our policies a little bit to see, how it fits into the world as it is at that moment in time. But China's had the same leader, Xi Jinping, since like fucking early 2000s. I think it was 2001, something like that. That's 20 plus years of the same thing. And so when you were talking about the long game, absolutely. We have policy that rotates every 4 years. They have policy that rotates as their leaders get killed or they get a new one. And that's the difference.
It's hard for people to understand that there's two certainties working in intelligence that Leroy may or may not admit, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't admit.
I don't know anything.
Yeah, well, no, not that. I'm talking about, this is personal stuff. But the longer you work in intel, the more circumspect you become on everything. And that's number one. And number two is, the longer you work in intel, the more you align yourself with other countries and ask yourself the question, well, if we did this, or if they did this to us, how would we react?
How would I react? Right.
Right. You ask that question because before you make a call, you want to make sure you're not creating an international incident and putting your country in serious jeopardy if you are the commanding intelligence officer or if you are the team and task leader. But with those two things comes your ability to say, let's slow down. Let's not overreact. Let's not flip out. And let's assume that, are we sending over and tasking birds over foreign countries? Are we doing mid-level flights to record reconnaissance, to predict weather patterns, to intercept radio communications or collect you're damn right we are. So we have to understand that this is the game. And every once in a while, we get to see behind the curtain and see the two master chess players playing, and we don't like it because it's fast and it's aggressive and it seems violent, when honestly, this is just a game of chess. And when it becomes violent, or when the one Russian and the one Pole stand up and start lobbing vodka bottles at each other and stop playing the game, that's when we get concerned. This isn't a time for concern.
No, this is rather silly. Something that Matt said, where he was asking me about, how we would view the how I have, if any of the analysts, there's a difference between a 20-year analyst and a 2-year analyst. And on year 2, you think, the United States can do no wrong. And then you find out later, well, we've done some pretty shady shit too.
Yeah.
And then the 20-year analyst is of that mindset, like, oh, well, one man's terrorist and is another country's freedom fighter. I don't necessarily, I understand that
right.
I understand that mode of
It's
thinking,
so well
but
put.
I don't subscribe to it.
I don't either.
And because my allegiance is to the Constitution and to the Bill of Rights. And because they don't have one, then they can fuck off. That being said, no, I don't fall into that trap. I'm a patriot. So,
Yeah.
And Amy, real quick, is a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is the United States government floating those balloons. Stop.
Why? But why?
Please stop.
So have you heard about all the whales dying lately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So no, I mean, I think it's local to Virginia, and maybe it's not. It's just we hear about it here. But I've heard on some areas that are saying that the balloons are now they're causing some kind of whatever ultrasonic or sonar or something that's killing
with the submarines,
sea life. No, that they're blaming it on the balloons because we've had so many whales. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I was like, what? Wouldn't have. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't say that. I heard that today and I was like, that's a stretch. They're in the sky. Whales are in the water.
Well, they have lasers from satellites that can cause earthquakes. My response is the Ryan Reynolds meme up in the corner.
Yeah.
But why?
Right.
Listen, I understand everybody thinks that this is when we get to the Rhianna portion of this is going to be the same thing. Folks, false flags. I really appreciate that Alex Jones decided to go ahead and use the word every single day on his show that false flags are the only type of counterintelligence or psyop that is done in the world today. But there are hundreds of other techniques besides false flags to generate support or fear or revolts inside of countries. What you don't know about what our country is capable of and what it can and can't do, you make up these conclusions that are unwarranted because you don't know better. That's when you have to listen to military people, because, like, okay, if you want to know about evil, you don't go to a petting zoo. If you want to know about evil, you don't go to a local freaking 700 club or a Christian conservative talk radio show. You go listen to the hardest hitting veteran you know. You go listen to Jocko Willink. You go listen to an intelligence officer retired from the Marine Corps. You go listen to the guys who've done it, the operators who've seen it and have looked it in the eye and had to be evil in order to kill evil. Mm-hmm. You just don't understand what you're talking about. So what you try to do is make it make sense, and everything's aligned to the Illuminati and the Masons and the New World Order, and you got to stop. Not everything is a conspiracy theory. Not everything is tied together. You give our government too much credit. Do you know what it would take to float one of these devices and have nobody find out about it? And how many thousands of people would have to be involved in order to do it? Do you even understand from a military perspective how difficult what you're saying is to keep that, let alone every single person on base who is not read in, who is a civilian living on the base would see it. Every kid playing baseball, the entire surrounding community, all the news stations who literally are watching these bases 24 hours a day, foreign intelligence that's watching these bases 24 hours a day, who would see us floating a balloon, take a snap of that, and then release it on Al Jazeera so we look like fucking idiots. You guys just don't get it. So you make up this stuff and you hear it from somebody who's bullshitting you because they want clicks. And maybe this show winds up being in the dredge forever because it's the most honest thing you're going to find. because I'm not going to go ahead and hype this up as World War III. And I'm not going to hype it up that our United States government is perpetrating this. This, Leroy and I just told you, this has been done for 60 years. It's being done all the time. And now we're just hypersensitive to it. Just like we didn't give a shit if you carried a knife on board a plane in 2000 on November 10th or September 10th, 2001. But all of a sudden, the entire world changed on September 11th, 2001, and we became hypersensitive to it. And then every Islamic person who boarded a plane, we looked at. And every time a plane bumped, we thought, oh my God, this is it. We're going into the federal building. Folks, I'm just trying to help you to understand is that you're taking things so far out to left field that you're literally allowing doubles and triples up center field all day long because you're not paying attention to the center of the game. Go ahead, Leroy.
I was just going to point something out that and you guys should do this, not now, do it later after we're done, but you can look up something called the availability heuristic. It's a logical fallacy that basically says that people can go on for years and be completely unaware of something, but the moment the media starts pointing it out, all of a sudden it's everywhere. And that's exactly what's happening.
That's right.
Which it's when you're playing that game with your kids about, I see with my little eye, or I spy with my little eye. And all of a sudden you start looking for a red car, and then all of a sudden they're fucking everywhere. That's the same thing.
Janet makes a comment. Noah was a conspiracy theorist till it rained. No, he wasn't. Noah is a fable in a book to help people understand the word of God, which is incomprehensible to man. So no, it's not the same thing. And anyone who's comparing themselves to Jesus Christ and disciples and the good book with saying that these balloons are floated by our own government to make Joe Biden not look bad for his first reaction.
No.
First of all, you have no proof.
I'm not buying that at all.
You have no proof. So you're saying it based upon a gut feeling, and that's good. You should have a gut feeling, but you should also get a filter on that brain to mouth little thing you got going on there. And I say that because that was told to me as one of the highest scoring intelligence specialists coming out of Nimitzi, from my A schools to my C schools, graduating in the top 1% in intelligence, that you better get a filter on that brain to mouth thing of yours, because you're gonna get people killed, and you're gonna kill your own career. I don't care how shit hot you think you are. You don't know everything. So learn to shut up and listen occasionally. And I'm not telling you that to be rude. I'm telling you that because if you have that inquisitive brain, God, more power to you. And that's great. And that's what we need in this country. But we also need people who can shut up and listen and disseminate things and make practical, intelligent, informed decisions based upon fact, not based upon some host that you listen to who has decided to go ahead and propagate these mythical stories that you don't keep track of. And in my opinion, if one story that somebody gives you is wrong, that should make you question every single story that they ever give you. And if my track record doesn't behoove you to trust me, then you shouldn't watch my show. But I would challenge you to please let me know what I've been wrong about.
Yeah, the whole point of the Bible is to give you a series of moral and ethical lessons, not to give you some sort of historical, factual, this is what happened.
Right.
And so when we're talking about balloons in modern day floating over the United States, it's probably a far safer to bet to trust the former intelligence analysts that know a little bit of something about this stuff rather than a book that's 2,000 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
I love, my little acronym for Bible. I told you guys before. Yeah, I've said it before.
Say it again.
It's not mine. I didn't coin it, but it's basic instructions before leaving Earth. Bible.
Oh, I like that. I do
nice.
remember you saying that. Yeah.
I just love that because it's common sense and how to live your life and be a good person and just that's it. Yeah.
Well, and
Like that.
conspiracy is derivative of the word from Latin. And back then when the Bible was written, we wouldn't necessarily be influenced by Latin. So Noah didn't hear shit about the word conspiracy theory. I'm just letting you know. But I understand your premise, right? I get it. I understand what you're saying. I'm not insulting you. Yes, I get what you're saying. First drops of rain came and it's like, well, this is no big deal. And then it became a steady downpour. And this is no big deal. And then it became days upon days of flooding. And then it's like, holy shit, Noah winds up looking like a guy who buys beachfront property in Nevada when the major earthquake happens in California. I get it. But one is a story, and this is reality. And am I saying our government can't lie? No. No. Am I saying that our government tells us the truth? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you can't make comments that are supposedly factual that create derision and dismiss any trust in our government, any at all, based upon supposition and conjecture. It's okay to wax hypothetical all day. We can do that, but it doesn't do any good. Let's talk in fact. And right now, we're not being told what 3 out of 4 of those objects were. We're telling one was from China. We're telling 3 of them we don't know. They're in hexagon in shape, which I said drone all along. And if they're in a hexagon shape, more than likely is not a balloon, or it could be a balloon with propulsion. I want to see what they shot down. What I do know is Fox just released a story, Mike hooked me up, is that one of the missiles that they shot the first time missed, which only explains to me that they used the wrong type of missile. And the missile that they said that they used, which I'm not going to go into specifics, is essentially a heat-seeking missile. And you don't use a heat-seeking missile on a balloon. Leroy, am I smoking crack here?
Nope. Okay. If you were gonna try and pop a missile, you'd use something that, I don't know, had blades.
Proximity explosion.
Right.
They have it's unclassified now, Matt. So so I'm not saying anything that's this is.
No, I know. That's why I'm like, you heard how, but you heard how completely cryptic I was being. I even know the name of the. I even know the name of the missile.
This is something that's been out for a little while now, but what it was hush hush for a long time. They have Hellfire. It's a 9X, and what it is, it's a Hellfire that doesn't have any explosives in it, but right before impact, like these blades pop out of the side, like legitimately, they're blades about that long,
like Wolverine.
There's like 6 of them. Yeah.
There's plenty of things, and a lot of people are like, well, why didn't we use, and shoot it down? Okay, let me explain something. The United States, just to let you know, right? Just to let you know, the United States is probably one of the least defended top 15 countries in the world as far as integrated air defense systems. We don't use surface-to-air missiles. There's only one place we really use surface-to-air missiles. And I'm not going to tell you where that's at, but you can pretty much figure out where that's at. There are a couple places we use it, but there's predominantly one place we use it more heavily than ever because of the last 20 some odd years. You can do the math. In that area, okay. But everywhere else around the United States, the surface-to-air missiles are not necessarily... What?
Yeah, it's relatively... We don't use them.
And the reason why we don't use them is because as most countries have plethora amount of SA missiles like Iran and other countries, we have interceptors, F-16s, F-15s, F-22s, 35s, we can go on and on and on, that we send up to get what we need to get. And anything outside of the intercontinental United States, we have multiple weapon systems that are capable of engaging with missiles or vehicles individually. And that's as far as I'm going to go into it. But the landscape has changed, and we're no longer going to be facing MiGs. We're no longer going to be facing Sikorskys or Jap Zeros. We're going to be facing highly maneuverable, multi-planar type vehicles like drones And the United States needs to understand that we need to invest in surface to air capabilities stat. And I would, if there was one thing I would want the United States government to do soonest within the next 2 to 5 years, is to have Iron Dome type technology in our major cities, and more importantly, surface to air missiles at our most critical points to hit smaller type drone aircraft, because all it's going to take is one EMP and we're in deep shit. And we have to fast response to these things. And that's what makes me fearful. Isn't the balloon, it's the thing that's not moving in the balloon. And can we scramble and get up fast enough? I don't think we can against today's technology. And the United States is far behind in this, and we need to consider it. Leroy, I want your opinion. Am I way off base here? Is it a waste of money? Am I crazy?
I have no comment.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
So we need to be talking to Israel and get some of their blueprints.
No, because we provided it. So we already have the plans. We just need to start.
We're the ones that gave it to them.
We gave it to him. So Iron Dome is ours.
Why don't we have one then? Like
he can't talk about. No. I've struck. When you hear me strike gold, we just walk away. No, you just walk away. He can't talk about it. And the reason why we can't talk about it is obvious. Right. So because if there was nothing going, we would talk about it. So that's it in the story. So it comes down to this. The United States needs, and it sounds like, in my opinion, when I look at some of the funding that they did and the monies that were given to the defense contractors, Trump put a lot of money into revamping our nuclear capabilities, a lot of our old weapon systems and software systems and stuff. So, and we haven't really done a major overhaul or purchase for new aircraft or new vessels. So where's that money going? Well, it's probably going into space. Which would be a very smart thing to do. And the second would be into IADS. So my knowledge is gone until that becomes public knowledge. So there you go.
Can I just read a comment really quick? Because I agree with this person so much, like my sentiments exactly. So Dodie SD says, personally, I miss the 4 years we didn't have to be concerned about this shit.
Spot on.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it nice? You know,
go ahead.
There
was the last administration definitely lived under the philosophy of, fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing would have just, it would have never have happened. And, you can say, oh, could one have gotten through? Yeah, maybe. I mean, we just got done talking about the radar recalibration. Sure. But there was, that on the opposite side of whatever retaliatory, reaction we had made, there was going to be some steep consequences. Like you go and do this, the next thing you know, we're gonna, tax Sony, 50 times. And that's not really a fair statement because that's a Japanese company, but you get what I'm saying. Like there would have been something that have happened.
Paul, if you want to call in, yeah, you can. He said he wanted to talk to the Intel guy. So Paul, if you want to call, go ahead. I've got Skype open. And then we'll play the video in a second. So if you want to call in, go ahead.
It's 804-504-1955.
Yeah. And there's only certain things that I can talk about, and Leroy can talk about a lot less. So let's continue to watch this until we get a call in, and we'll go from there. Good topic, good conversation. We're about halfway through. National anthem. What does that have to do with anything? Well, when you put it all together, the Super Bowl and football and most sports have been very controversial over the last few years. If I go ahead and show you a photograph of this and take a look, you know who this gentleman is. This is Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers, and now frontman for Nike, the Chinese company. The guy who is living in poverty, making a $96 million contract with Nike when he hardly does anything, has begged to play football but doesn't show up to actual combines and actual tryouts. The guy that gets attention for taking a knee, doesn't tell anybody what it means, gets the reaction he wants, which is outrage,
Hold on 1 second,
and then simply says, what? I was an innocent bystander. All right, Paul, what do you want to talk about tonight, buddy?
Paul, can we hear?
Yeah, let me, Paul, hold on. I got to get your audio pumped in. Hold on. Thanks for letting me know right away, guys. That means the world. Hold on. Okay, Paul, go ahead. You're golden now. Go ahead and start talking.
Okay. I have
There we
a
are.
kind of theory or question for you guys. Is it possible for them to float some sort of technology would recognize and then analyze the targeting systems of our fighter jets, since we're shooting these things down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then take that information and be able to develop countermeasures to the targeting systems that our jets are carrying?
That's a really good question.
That
is an
is that even
excellent
a
question.
It's an
possibility?
excellent question. It's an excellent question.
No, it's an excellent question. It's so good that
he can't answer it.
I can't really answer that.
So I'll answer it in this way. There's two types of systems. There's passive and non-passive. Non-passive systems contact and transfer information to the target, and passive systems don't. And every time you engage with an object, you start recording. And it doesn't matter if it's what used to be TARPs on F-14s and F-18s, which tactical reconnaissance pods, which would for photographs, whether it's IFF transponder, whether it's the MERS system or any of the other systems that you can use from sonar and everything else, you start recording and tracing information on a contact, can all be used and is beneficial in future negotiations with that contact. So to answer your question, the answer is yes. But did it happen in this occurrence? I can't answer that question because I don't know what type of engagement, but it leads me to believe a lot of people asking questions, why would you not use guns? Well, because guns, you have to be fairly close to a target. With missile systems, you can be 500 miles away from a target and still engage, as the F-22s proved against a squadron of F-15s, and one F-22 shot down 12 F-15E Strike Eagles, the most superior product on the planet 15 years ago. So, and they never even saw it on radar. So my point being is, did this balloon collect intelligence from a counterintelligence?
On our jets' targeting systems?
No.
Okay.
I would be highly doubtful that any information was collected that they wouldn't have been able to collect from previous systems and get the same amount of information and assume what these signatures would look like. But I can't go into any more detail, just like Leroy can't. My answer would be no.
Okay, fair enough. Just a thought I had, that maybe they might be
thought.
kind of, gathering not intel on our nuke sites and everything else that's been said, but just specifically the targeting systems of our fighter jets, that, you have to engage this target. That target knows it's being engaged. And would it be possible for them to float the technology to analyze that targeting system?
Now, Paul, I will say this. If I were China, it would make more sense for me to place either an agent or infiltrate McDonnell Douglas or Lockheed Martin. It would be easier and cheaper to send somebody to literally buy their way into Lockheed Martin with some trumped up, credentials. And then once they have access to, whatever the blueprints are or whatever that looks like, that seems like a more likely scenario to me than to assume, hey, let's send up a balloon from halfway around the world and we'll just hope that they send up an F-22. Exactly.
Right. Damn it, they set up a 16 and a 15. Fuck. Which they did. But here's the other thing also is as I'm going to go ahead and take this a little further, which I can, because this is not classed information. The difference between the weapon systems of yesteryear is a lot was left to chance, right? Now, I mean, IFF, which is scratch the surface, which identify friendly foe, the transponder, which it behooves other countries to use IFF, not out of respect for other countries to identify who they are, but so they don't get shot down themselves and shoot down their own aircraft. That's why you use IFF. So every country kind of just does it, and it's mutually beneficial to all countries. But now these weapon systems, and I can say, are advanced to the point of ever-present and ever-changing algorithms, that they're not the same every time, and they're constantly evolving, and they are learning from each other. And so there's a level of crypto that they're not going to get anything of benefit, because the next time they face that system, it'll be different. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
I can say that.
Yep.
I just can't tell you how it's done, and I can't tell you what type of encryption is, because I don't know, but I do know that much.
Of course not. I pondered the possibility that
That's a good question. It's an excellent, Paul, it's an excellent question. It's probably one of the most astute questions we've had since doing the show. If we did that, this show would be 1 million viewers, because those type of questions are and ones that honestly, luckily, we can answer to a little bit of expertise. But if we had questions like that, I think a lot of our comments would be, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I didn't know, so I thought you two would be great people to ask. So
yeah, well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, man. So I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
guys.
you very much for the call, Paul. That was really good.
Brother. Appreciate it, Paul.
Good question.
Yeah. All right.
I have nothing intelligent to add to that, because like he said, he thought you two were the people to ask, which he's spot on there. But I'm pretty sure I sent you guys a video of what, like, the footage that they thought the balloon would have captured. Did I send that to you? With all the farmers.
Right. Yeah. Showing their ass and showing their
No,
showing their pucker.
All the fields in like middle America with like, FJB and like,
Oh
just
yeah. See, I
awful.
got you don't know how many hundreds of freaking when a new thing comes up, I get a shit ton. It's awesome.
I send lighthearted fun stuff.
I love how sarcastic Facebook is with that. Just like ruthless memes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish this
Colin,
up. We're almost
Colin
done.
Kaepernick. Yeah.
And yeah. I can't hear it.
Sorry. We do the this is the one thing, the limitation with Skype is Skype will, it's a setting. It won't pump audio in because it says it's on a circled loop, but it's not. There's no loop for Skype on here. I don't know why it does this. Here we go. Is illegal aliens. The next one also is interesting. Rhianna performed in the Super Bowl, and the anthem, and Colin Kaepernick and Patrick Mahomes. What does all this have to do with anything? And then also the Black National Anthem. What does that have to do with anything? Well, when you put it all together, the Super Bowl and football and most sports have been very controversial over the last few years. If I go ahead and show you a photograph of this and take a look, you know who this gentleman is. This is Colin Kaepernick. Ramon, not to interrupt the show, but IFF is for so much more than dogfighting. IFF, I can just name one right now that actually there's more occurrences of this on an everyday basis than dogfighting. Surface-to-air missile contact and radar systems. IFF is used for appropriation of targets through surface-to-air missiles as well. So it's not just dogfighting, bro. IFF is used in multiple facets, and it's used for passenger vehicles too. So, and whether it's a version of IFF or a new, it's not just for dogfighting. So I'm gonna negate your comment, unfortunately, on that. Leroy, did you want to say anything else, or did I clear that up?
Use it on ships too. Navy ships use IFF.
Yep, tanks use it. The tanks, M1s have them installed. IFF is used on multiple systems that use targeting systems to go ahead and kill them. So yeah. Okay, good. Kaepernick.
Cool.
San Francisco 49ers, and now frontman for Nike. Well, then don't say you know, Ramon, when you just said that IFF went out when dogfighting went out, because you didn't say that. So if you knew, then you're holding out information for me. Why are you doing that? Don't be rude. Seriously, gosh, man. Do we have a Trump? Do we have a Trump thing for that?
We need that.
Don't be rude. You are fake news. You are fake news.
All right. The Chinese company. The guy who is living in poverty, making a $96 million contract with Nike when he hardly does anything. has begged to play football but doesn't show up to actual combines and actual tryouts. You know, the guy that gets attention for taking a knee doesn't tell anybody what it means, gets the reaction he wants, which is outrage, and then simply says, what? I was an innocent bystander. Let me tell you what I really meant. This is Colin Kaepernick, and he has been associated with the negativity around the NFL. But there's something else that's been going on. 9/11 tribute patches haven't been able to be worn on jerseys. Thin blue line support for the police officers when the Dallas police officers were shot. Can't do that. Patrick Tillman, to go ahead and celebrate and honor his anniversary of his death, couldn't do that. But Black Lives Matter and fists raised to power and end racism have all been okay to put on jerseys in basketball and football, taking a knee. But when it comes to honoring anything other than the narrative, the NFL took umbrage with that. But something happened last night that was really important, something that I noticed immediately. You may remember this gentleman, Tim Tebow, and most of you know who he is. He is an amazing player. I played for the University of Florida, I believe, in college. If you've ever seen his workout, it's incredible. I thought that I punished myself. This guy takes 2 sledgehammers and literally slings them like Thor against giant tires. He's incredible. He's also a Christian, and he's also a damn good human being. He took a knee before he took the field to pray for his fellow teammates, to pray for the fans, to pray for himself, and also humanity. Yet he was cast out from the NFL. He was subjugated to embarrassment, even though he never was ashamed of his faith. And he was perpetrated as some sort of villain or something else in other people's minds. That certainly wasn't good. Tim Tebow did nothing wrong when he took the field and took a knee in 2012. And some people say Colin Kaepernick didn't do anything wrong in 2016. Yet I will tell you that one of those instances was all about self-serving fulfillment, and the other one had nothing to do with it. He was serving God. I'm not a fan of Colin Kaepernick. I'm not a fan of his message, but I do support his ability to do it and to execute it under the First Amendment. However, if Tim Tebow is going to be held accountable and he can't do it, if we can't celebrate Pat Tillman's anniversary or 9/11 or police officers, then Colin Kaepernick can't take a knee, because that's just the way it should be. Consistency. That's what equality really means, to be fair. But that's not necessarily what happens, is it? So more controversy took place, and some people were upset when it came to the halftime show. I'll get to that in a minute. But here's what really struck me as awesome. Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma Sooner, he takes a knee before he goes onto the field in the end zone, and he prays to God. Also, Patrick Mahomes does it as well. And to see 2 quarterbacks come out and sit on the field and take a knee for God is an amazing thing. I'm not the most religious person, but so much was made about this Super Bowl that it was all about 2 African-American players, which should lend to the whole entire thought process that we have reached something completely different than we did in the yesteryear. 2 African-American quarterbacks facing off in the Super Bowl is amazing. What's even more amazing is 2 of them celebrating their faith and belief in God, and nobody saying anything about it. It may seem a little hypocritical way to do business, but alas, if this means that players can take a knee, or when somebody's injured, take a knee and pray for their recovery or their safe exit off the field, then I call that progress versus what we've been doing lately, which is regress. Nothing even more clearer than when we talk about the Black National Anthem that's being played. I wanted to say something that obviously this is a little bit dramatic, but if we can have a Black National Anthem played, then we can have a Hispanic National Anthem. Then we can have a women's national anthem. Well, if there's women anymore. We can have a gay national anthem, then a Native American national anthem, and then an Asian American national anthem. And then we can have an Indian American national anthem, then a transgender national anthem, and maybe even a Western European American national anthem. And pretty soon they will play national anthems for 3 hours and the games will become the commercials. The bottom line is it shows the silliness of it all. 13% of the population acts like they are 60% of the population, commanding so much attention and all of our resources. Why does it feel like the country is trying to segregate again? Sometimes the left depends on it. It's almost like they want it. They're the party of hatred and division after all, because that's what they're selling. They want to progress, not realizing for some and realizing for others that there is no progress from our founding ideals once applied to all, only regression. The title of the Black National Anthem is Lift Every Voice and Sing. But the truth is, not every voice was singing. Not for the aforementioned, and for the national anthem. And that's okay, right? That's the very point of all of this, is that we are not a tyrannical, autocratic state. If you want to stand, stand. If you want to sit, sit. But as you have a right to express yourself, we have the right to tell you that you're being an asshole. Last but not least, I want to get to somebody named Rhianna.
Hey,
now,
pause it real
I've
quick.
listened to her music. I'm not going to lie. Go for it. Yeah.
Just one really quick statement, something that has always bothered me. And you know what? Whatever you think of Colin Kaepernick, whether or not he was a good athlete or whether or not he deserved to be fired or if he, I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I don't care that he wears Nikes or eats Lucky Charms. I don't give a shit.
Oh, they're magically delicious, though.
I will say this. It has always been a personal philosophy for me that you kneel in front of God, but you stand for everything else.
How dare you?
And when I'm saying that, I'm saying that God is the only thing that's going to bring me to my knees. It doesn't matter if we were to be invaded by China or Russia tomorrow, I'm not kneeling. I'm going to go out with my bootstraps on. There's no way.
Yep.
And so same thing here. When we're talking about honoring the American flag, we stand because you're standing for the people that can't.
That's right.
Just my
Or
opinion.
you stand for the people who have already fallen.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Just really quick. I know I talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago. When we went to Bert Kreischer, he started singing the national anthem, and I wasn't looking behind me at all, but I can tell you everyone in front of me all stood up, hands over their hearts. Like, I mean, this was in Pennsylvania, so
Yeah.
very similar to where we are here. It was just nice to see that there is still patriotism and that there is respect for our national anthem and our flag. And, yes, it's a comedy show, but that moment wasn't comical. It was serious, and it started as a comedy. That part did, but it turned into something serious, and every person there took it serious because it is serious to,
Damn
I
right
hope,
it is.
most Americans. And I agree with you, Leroy. I don't kneel for anyone but God, and you stand up for and respect our country and the people who fought for our country and still fight for our country, and you show them that respect.
You can kneel for the no longer living.
Yeah.
And from a veteran perspective, that's when we take a knee in respite, but certainly not out of some sort of vindictive fucking fallacy as unarmed police shootings, which is a complete myth. It's a fucking myth. More people die from hammers in their vehicle in traffic accidents than unarmed police shootings every year. Go look it up. It's a truth.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're almost done. This one's pretty decent here. Go ahead. Umbrella, O. Want to stand, stand. If you want to sit, sit. But as you have a right to express yourself, we have the right to tell you that you're being an asshole. Last but not least, I want to get to somebody named Rhianna. Now, I've listened to her music. I'm not going to lie. Umbrella, O. Not the best song, but there are other songs that she does, like Disturbia, that I think is cool. S&M, it's a good song. And I understand the message. I understand people are all upnerved and they're like, oh my gosh, she sings about sex. She sings about this. Who cares? It's music. It has a beat. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. But there's been controversy, not just with the national anthem and Colin Kaepernick and people taking knees or not taking knees. My God, can we just watch the show? I thought one of the craziest things we ever saw was Janet Jackson popping her boob out in the middle of the show. But alas, everyone has seemed to trump that every single year. But Rhianna did something that I thought was exceptional. She came out and she did her show. That's it. Good or bad or indifferent. Now, she lip synced some of it. She actually sang live for some of it. But one of the most intriguing things is that as we were watching, my family said, hey, doesn't she look pregnant? And I said, yeah, she really does. And we looked it up. My wife said, well, she had a baby in May. And I said, well, good for her for not punishing herself with a body trainer and, eating a crouton with a glass of water and trying to fit some sort of stereotype of being a perfect singer. You must have a, you know, a size 3 body, size 4 body, size 2 body, or fit into a 0 dress. I think it was awesome. I think Rhianna's a beautiful lady, and I think that she sings about stuff that most people don't. And I don't care whether people like that or not. What I love is that all the political fray that was anticipated simply dropped away. She just did her show, whether good or bad. People came out and said she was wearing red and she's Satan. No. Go watch Sam Smith on the Grammys. That jag-off looked like Satan. Rhianna just wore red, and she obviously wasn't just pregnant in May. She's pregnant now, and we later found that out. To me, that means something because she doesn't care what people think. She also stood on a platform 50, 60, 70 feet in the air and was obviously strapped down, but did the show anyway, in the old adage that the show must go on. Watch the video.
The National Football League welcomes you to the Apple Music Super Bowl 57 halftime show.
Good or bad or indifferent, she just did her show. There was no black power. There was no BLM. There was no putting down the police. There was no Philadelphia stop rioting. You guys saw that too. But she just did her show. And in the day and age where Republicans seem to be just as bad as the left now, where everything is an outrage, everything's a problem, we can't be outraged at everything. Sometimes we just need to say, it's not our cup of tea, or it's not our brand of vodka, and move on. Rhianna did nothing wrong. She's not a Satan worshiper. She's not the devil. She's not all a big part of this giant conspiracy of BLM and taking over the world with CRT. She's just a performer who's went through some crazy stuff in her life, who has an amazing voice that you may or may not like. But certainly that shouldn't have been decided by her performance last night. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. That's it for me. My voice is done. I'm going to have to cut the hell out of this video. Real quick, somebody said, you know, I don't care. I can't stand her because she touched herself and smelled her fingers. Listen, some people like their own brand. I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Was that in the show last night? Because I must have not seen that.
I didn't see that. I saw her grabbed. I thought she did a crotch grab, but she might have been doing the baby. At the beginning, she was showing the baby.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I remember doing like a crotch grab, but I don't remember. And you know what? For me, as a man, and good for her. I don't give a shit.
Can I just put my 2 cents really quickly?
Of course you can, since you're a woman.
Yeah, well, I did listen to the Sam Smith song, and I actually liked the beat of it. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
just,
that's fine.
back on that. And I thought it was a good. I was like, oh, this is catchy. But Rhianna, Jason loves her, and I mean loves her. So we do listen to. Yeah, he loves her music. So we actually listened to. I actually knew a lot of her songs. I didn't know all of them, but I knew a lot of them. I recognized that she was pregnant. I'm glad that you confirmed that, because I was like, oh crap. I thought she looked obviously pregnant to me. I have been pregnant twice in my life. I have never been able to move. You would have never seen me on a floating platform. I would have never been able to bend over and shake my butt or do 99% of those moves, even at like a month pregnant. Okay. Like I can't move like that now. I give credit to that woman. I enjoyed the show. I hated the outfits. Sorry, everybody. But I'm an old lady, so like I don't get the style of today, and I accept that. Like it's not my style. If that's what y'all want to wear, that's fine. I thought it was stupid, but that's just my 2 cents. But I like the show. I thought it was great. I like last year's show too, just like the performance of it, not the message. But I thought it was a good show. I did. I liked it.
I don't care. Like I don't give a shit. I think that 29 minutes for a halftime show is an abortion. 13 fucking minutes. If you can't go up there and 13 minutes that thing out like Prince, then you or Katy Perry, who fucking crushed it on her Super Bowl appearance. You know what? You don't need 29 minutes. I don't care about.
She moved a little bit slower. Can she moved a lot? That's a long time. Give her a break.
I don't care. I don't care about Rihanna's music. I don't care if she sniffed her fingers. Who cares? I don't
Her
care.
the highlight of her career for me was in Battleship. So that was it.
Never saw it. I
Right.
didn't like some of the sexual things in the show. I will say that, like the men who were like putting their tongues out, like I just thought that was gross. Hi, honey. As I'm saying that, hi.
She can't
Yeah.
hear you. I have headphones on.
Okay, good. I didn't like some of the
I didn't either.
sexual-
I don't
but
care.
that's me. I'm a prude. Oh my golly. Anyways, but I enjoyed the show overall. But I agree with you, Matt. Like I want to see a show I want even less, 5-10 minutes max. I have a short attention
Right.
span. I don't want to stay up
Right.
late. I'm tired. Just like give me the 15-minute show.
It just comes down to this. We can't be outraged at everything. If you're
Right.
constantly putting people under the microscope, okay, she grabbed her crotch and she sniffed her fingers. Whatever. Good for her. God, you know what? I do it. Nobody does this. Nobody does a sniff check. Really? Okay. No one's ever done a sniff check in their lives, huh? You're all fucking just perfect, right? You're
Every
just
day.
gorgeous. You just smell
Every
like
day.
sunshine 24 hours a day. Well, when I was dating, trust me, man, you got to you got to do a brand check. Maybe she wanted to be fresh for the Super Bowl. I don't know what to tell you. Who fucking cares? At least she didn't go up there and be like, fuck America, Black Lives Matter, screw Whitey. That's what the whole message should be, okay? It shouldn't be, who cares? She's a stage performer. She is a sexual creature. She has a song called S&M for a reason. She's a freak, man. Listen to her music, and you don't have to like it. You don't. But what you can't say is that it was nice not to have any politics into that fucking show after the Black National Anthem was played. And that, to me, is a good thing. It's progress. And I honestly, the whole Black National Anthem thing baffles me. I just, what do you do?
Yeah.
Go to separate water fountains? I mean, this is ridiculous.
It's definitely a divisive thing. It's nothing. What it basically says is this is our anthem, and it is not intended for everyone. It is only intended for people of color. And so if you are white or Asian or anything else, then you don't really get to, that's what it feels like. Whereas, the national anthem, the United States national anthem, it was something that was intended to cover everyone.
Right.
It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care what sex you are or what your preferences are. It's just the national anthem. And if you belong to the nation, right?
It's your anthem.
If you are of U.S. citizenship, then it's your anthem.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Well
don't
said.
even know there's multiple verses to the national anthem, and that one of them is specifically left out because it makes mentions of slaves. I understand why, but guess what? Then if you have a problem with the national anthem, then you do not appreciate the privileges afforded to you under the Constitution. And if you don't believe in the privileges afforded to you in this Constitution, then you don't believe in the benefits of being a U.S. citizen. And if you don't believe in the benefits of the U.S. citizen, then you can't enjoy the Black National Anthem, because that means the moment a white person produces it, sings it, pays for it, replicates it, or hums it in the shower, it then becomes racist too. That's what you're saying about our flag. That's what you're saying about our vets. That's what you're saying about cops. Simply because they were born in the United States, they're racists. That's your fucking argument, and it's put in a nutshell, and then I just stamped on it with my foot. I completely obliterated your argument. You would have to create something on Mars by a freaking zygote and then somehow bring it back to the world and never touch it and never listen to it, not to be freaking soiled by U.S. policy and U.S. people. Give it a fucking rest. You're a hypocrite. You can sit up there and listen to music that talks about crack cocaine and slapping bitches and hoes and shooting cops, but you can't handle something that has nothing to do with you, that has nothing to do with slavery, that doesn't reflect on slavery, and just realize that that is our national anthem, and realize that things were changed to placate you. If you can't understand that, then nothing will ever make you happy. And maybe that's the big problem. Maybe that's the thing we need to be looking at, is not about racism that happened hundreds of years ago, but actually why you can't be happy in a society that has literally curtailed whatever it can to make you as comfortable as possible above individual rights and giving you special rights. Let's be honest.
I'm convinced that the reason people want different national anthems is because they feel like they want the attention on them, that they don't feel special enough, right? And so they want just a moment, an extra moment of sunshine that basically says, oh, that's my national anthem. Now, the last one was. This is just something for you to be obnoxious.
That's right. I'm going to go out with my 1 minute and then I'm going to hand it over. Amy, did you want to make a comment on that?
I mean, I do agree with what Leroy says. I think to take it one step further.
Of course you do.
I think it's, I always agree with you. Don't I?
I think Leroy's a dick.
More of, well,
I don't give a shit.
I think it's more of a control thing.
What?
I think it's more of,
sorry.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe.
Do not come.
that sums it up right there.
Hold on. Wait, we got to listen to this one. This one's good. And then I'm going to let you go.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
That's the best. That is
Go ahead.
amazing.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's more of a control thing, more of a power trip thing. Like,
sure,
you know, I need to have this over you kind of a thing. And just to reiterate what Leroy has already said, which I think most Americans, at least I hope most Americans agree with this, but our national anthem is for everyone, no matter your age, what you identify as. We may not all agree, but it is for all of us.
That's the message. Unless you make it not so.
Right.
And that's the whole, and Amy, that's the thing, right? The only people who are making the national anthem only for white people are the people who are saying that the national anthem is only for white people. It doesn't make any sense. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, that's like going and committing a crime and getting arrested and go, oppression. Like, wait a second.
Right.
Yeah, let's put two and two. All right. So listen, I want to mention one thing. We had an old listener. His name was Dustin. He used to be here. Dustin, great kid. Dustin Rhodes, nice guy. And I was on one of his another site, and there's a site, Conservative Mama is her name, and she befriended me a while ago. She's got 500,000 followers, and she goes, "Man, my algorithm is tanked. I'm not getting any views on my live show. I've got 500,000 people, and I got 50 people on live. So like we're doing good. People call me and say, how the hell do you have so many people on live? That's how scary it is." And I just said, hey, my live numbers have been kind of shit. And especially my recorded videos just all of a sudden took a tank. I don't know why. And it happens. Well, and then Dustin came on and Dustin goes, well, Matt, guys, if it's freezing, it's not me, it's Facebook. I'm running at 46 Mbps upload. I have like a 25-second buffer running. So it ain't me. It's Facebook. Anyway. And Dustin goes, hey, no offense. I like you. Love your show. I never unfriended you, but I stopped watching and I went over to Daily Wire and started watching Ben Shapiro because they have more timely and accurate shows that give me information quicker. And my reply simply was, well, yeah, dude, they have multi-million-dollar marketing budgets, hundreds of employees working on that shit. And I'm one guy and I can't compete. So if you have feedback for the show and you think something needs to change, that's realistic. Not that I'm going to literally pull 20 people out of my ass so I can catch every single story. Let us know. If there's something we can be doing better, tell us with respect. But that frustrated me because I really like Dustin, and for him to leave and not tell me. And then I said, and he's like, well, I tried to reach out to you a couple times. And I went to my messages and I showed him a screenshot. It said, Dustin, 0 messages. I said, really? Because I don't have any messages from you. And I showed him my email. I took screenshots and I said, now I'm upset because it's like, you said you reached out, but you didn't. because I never heard from you. And if you would have reached out, I could have possibly done what I did tonight, which was cover multiple topics and made my show the same amount of time. That was a little bit faster and a little more fluid. So if you didn't like what you heard the first time, just stick around for a couple minutes. It's going to change. That's all based upon his feedback. So I just thought I would ask you guys and get your thoughts.
Can I go first? Just
Yeah, go.
because
Absolutely.
so I will say this. I really like this show format tonight. I think it would be cool to do like the normal format you do and then like, mix this in once in a while. I think both are really good. I also watch Ben Shapiro. I don't think I watch everyone on Daily Wire, but I watch a few of the people on Daily Wire. I don't like everything about Daily Wire because it's a lot of opinions, and I think it also leans into part of the problem as conservatives of the name calling. And I know we do it here too, but we always do it in like maybe this is a perspective thing. I feel like we do it in like a truly a joking way. We don't have that in our hearts. And I do feel like a lot of the hosts of Daily Wire shows do, that they have a genuine dislike for a certain side or a certain group of people. I think Ben Shapiro is really good about being very diplomatic, and he will interview people from the left, and he had the Young Turks on, and so I appreciate that about him. But I think his show is very biased, and so but I know that going into it, I enjoy the information I get from it, and I take it with service level and do my own research still. So I don't know. I like our show better, but also I'm biased because, well,
Daily Wire's got to be doing something right, and they
Yeah, they're
are.
great.
But
Yeah.
give me $1 million marketing budget, give me payroll, and I would. It's ridiculous. I mean, of course, but this show, I will say, is probably one of the best recorded, best displays, most consistent quality of show and content out there when it comes to the presentation. And yes, some shows are a hit and some shows aren't, but either way, it's an effort in getting better. And if you look at where we were versus where we are now, it's just a completely different thing. So, we progress. So if there is and progress that is actually worthwhile, not leftist progress, which means go back to 1960. Leroy, 1 minute, last word.
Every day when I go into work, I pretty much have headphones on all day. And so I do nothing because most of my work is visual in nature. I don't have to interact with a lot of people if it's absolutely not required. And so I listen to Matt Walsh. I listen to Andrew Klavan, Daily Wire. I listen to Dave Rubin and Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell. And I listen to all of these networks, and true enough that they give you not only this additional, perspective on things, because I do love hearing the perspectives from older people or women or black people or I love everything. I want to take it all in, but it also helps prioritize in terms of the media and the news, right? What everyone is seeing. So there's a little bit of a filter that's going on there that says, oh, well, 3 of the 4 guys mentioned this. That might be on Matt's show tonight. We should probably talk about it,
Right.
And so it's great that I'm able to, what I do is I kind of take all of this in, and it helps me bring an awareness to certain topics. Some of it I can't talk about. A lot of it I can. But really the ultimate goal for it is to make sure that when I sit down in front of you guys, that I have the absolute highest level of awareness of what people are talking about. And I've heard enough different opinions and have maybe grabbed a factoid from here or a statistic there that I can then leverage off of. And I do that every day. Every day I'm listening to the news all the time. And it's for this show.
Yeah, it's like when people tell me online, do your research. I'm like, I really want to just grab you through the computer and punch you hard.
Right.
Do my research. I'm like, dude, I disseminate 100,000 words every 30 days to the public. The average show is 3,000 words at least. And then I read to write those 100,000 words, probably 300 to 400,000 words. Don't sit here and tell me that I don't research. And if you want to know, okay, does this guy know anything? Get on here and have a conversation with me, and you let me know if you're impressed or not.
Yeah.
With my level of knowledge on things, and I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad. You need to uncover that. You let me know what you think after we're done talking and go, oh, I may not agree, but wow, that guy might know what he's talking about. Or
exactly,
he's full of shit. And you can discern that from a conversation a hell of a lot easier than a 3-sentence post. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Did
I
you
already
already have
said
your
what I had
minute?
to say. I mean,
No, you
that's all.
didn't.
I mean, I said
You-
what I said. I mean, I started listening to Matt's show. I don't know, not too long after you started. I started watching your show because I found it to be extremely informative. I found it to be incredibly thought-provoking, and it made me want to learn more about certain topics. And then I did my own research, and I will say Matt was always right. I hate blowing up your head like this, Matt.
Well, you can't. I wear a size 8. You can't
I know.
it can't go anymore. I'm
So,
on the last
I
ring.
mean, everybody knows. I don't anymore. I actually promote the show less now that I'm a part of it than there's reasons behind it. I can't do anything anymore. I can't do anything. But no, I just thought Matt's show was amazing. I believed in this show before I was a part of it. I think there's something special about the way Matt delivers things. He's incredibly insightful, intelligent, and thought-provoking, and he's not for everybody, but I love his delivery. But I'm not very
I'm
sensitive.
certainly not for everybody.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
No.
Shut up,
Well,
Leroy.
that's okay.
I want to say one more thing. Thank you. I meant your last minute. Not a
Oh,
fluff
my
piece
last
on me,
minute.
but
Oh,
no,
happy
but that was
Valentine's
good.
Day.
It felt great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sorry. That's everyone's. I forgot it's Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Well,
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Love y'all.
It was fine. Perfect. Thank you. Real quick, everyone, I know there's an active shooter. I don't promote active shooters on my show. I don't fucking care. I hope that everyone's safe. I hope that they get the prick and they put them down and that everyone comes out okay. But I do not promote active shooters on my show. I never will. I never have. Fuck them. They will never get a moment of airtime on my show. And that is the last time I'm going to talk about an active shooter. I'm aware.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also aware about the train derailment in Texas. The
And
one
in
thing
Ohio.
I've learned in 2 years, and Ohio, is to stay on topic as much as possible, because very often we get off of it very quickly, and that doesn't make a great show. These are the topics tonight. And yes, Daily Wire's talking about them now, and everyone will talk about them tomorrow. That's what we do. Okay.
You know what? Can I address that point real quick? Because I think it's important. There is a very big difference, folks, in being the first to report on a story, and sometimes you have to have that ability to kind of, all right, hold on, let's wait a second. Let's really start to kind of peel back the layers of that onion and then report on it. Because some people just want to be first. Matt and
Daily
I,
Wire
and
is
Amy,
not that. Daily
and
Wire is
Matt-
not that. They are excellent.
Exactly. Well, and I would say that Matt and Amy and I, we like to examine this stuff and be right.
Yes.
We like to put a little thought into it.
That's right.
That's two different things.
And that's and I would rather, like Leroy says, I would rather get to it a little slower and not fuck up. But the Daily Wire is not that. They have broken amazing stories. They are incredible. And the reason why they're incredible is because they are a $250 million annual company with a staff of hundreds. And they have the best in the business working for them. So it's not an excuse. But you go ahead and give me 20 more Matts, and what could we do? You give me 200 Matts and 200 Amy's and 200 Leroy's, and I'll fucking take the Daily Wire on. you guys got to understand. I mean, they're recruiting and paying top dollar. My resume, I got a nice little email from them, you know, and so they're hiring top talent. They're hiring the best in the US, and that's important. Anyway, listen, appreciate everybody. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Go over to the store. We got some new stuff over there and get some shirts, hats.
Get a sweatshirt for
thedumbshow.com.
everybody. Just saying. I wear it
I
every time
ordered
it's
mine.
clean. It's
Hey,
amazing.
all the dummies, make sure that you go ahead and jam it out and type right now. Wish Matt, tell him that you know, you hope that he feels better.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I just need to get some rest. I'm going to go, trust me, I'm going to
sleep.
get some sleep. But go stop by the website, go pick up a hat, shirt. I'm going to get some new shirts out on there, and hopefully I'm back to work. Do me a favor. Go. The show's been released. Go, please like it right now. Don't go do anything else. Go like and spam it because they've been throttling my shows. Please go and do that for me. God bless Dumb Nation. We will go out with a Veteran Crisis Hotline like we always do. Remember, we're doing it based on video now. Kind of something fun. Leroy, Amy, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here tonight, and we'll see you guys on Friday. I will. Thank you so much.
Right.
See ya.
Yep. Talk to you.
Bye.
Love you guys.
I'm David Boreanaz
See
with
ya.
the Cast the SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets. We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help, and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important. For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call.
It's supposed to go to the next one, but it didn't. It's one of those things, folks. Just, you know, I got to sit here and watch this every single night, and then this happens. Love you guys. I'm going to go to bed. Good night.